This is Blueprint, and this is Brainstorm, two of the most powerful jokers in all of Balatro. Even having just one of these can bring your run into the stratosphere. That's because they can copy another joker's abilities. But I found a seed with not one, not two, but three of these cards. And the results speak for themselves. To start, I chose the Magic deck because I'm a sucker for a good Fool tarot card. Then, upon skipping the first two blinds, you'll have two free rare jokers waiting for you in the shop. I'll give you one guess as to what we'll find. The first blind is the first real challenge we will have in this run. We need 600 points with no multipliers. Certainly not impossible, but we have to be smart. First, I wanted to go for a straight, and after one discard, we got it, putting us a little under halfway there. But with one more well-executed discard, we are gifted 4 kings for a strong, 4-of-a-kind hand. Once in the shop, we find our build. I'll give a cookie to everyone who guessed these cards. We get to pick up 1 free Brainstorm and 1 free Blueprint. Then we open a Buffoon pack and grab the wonderful Hanging Chad to re-trigger our first played card 2 extra times. We then open the Spectral pack and are gifted the Wraith, which gives me another rare joker but sets our money to 0. Oh no, my $3! And the joker that pops out? Baron, which triggers a 1.5 times mult bonus for every king left in your hand. Remember that 4-of-a-kind kings we played a moment ago? That's called foreshadowing. We then jump into Ante 2. I place my jokers in a way so that Brainstorm copies Blueprint and Blueprint copies Baron. I draw 2 kings and try out what a 2-pair hand gets me. $1,500 points later, I start to see the vision. I then pop a tarot pack in the next shop and grab one more random joker with our beautiful banana friend for a nice early boost of 15 mult. I also decide to skip the big blind to try and upgrade that new mult for the early stages because we are facing our toughest challenge in Ante 4. The next boss blind throws us a small curveball by drawing all face cards face down. I now have no idea if I have all kings or no kings in my hand, making Baron a much riskier play. So I switch our banana into the copy spot and try for a low straight. Then I start to get worried I won't find it and need to pivot to a flush with clubs. I then took a risk, hoping the face down was a club and I get scammed with a king of hearts. But Hanging Chad and our ace and 45 mult do what is necessary and bail me out with just a high card. I'm then given a holographic gluttonous joker giving me +3 mult for the very clubs that just betrayed me, as well as an additional 10 mult for being hollow. But with no more room in my jokers, I make the difficult decision to drop my Hanging Chad in the toilet and make room. I then make a few lucky cards just for the fun of it with the tarot pack. Ante 3 went by without a hitch. The small blind only took 1 hand to beat due to some smart joker layouts, and I skipped the big blind to get $25 after I defeat the boss blind, which I was very easily able to do in the 1 hand I was allowed. I then bought myself a Chariot tarot card, which allows you to turn a card into a steel card, which, just like kings with Baron, score 1.5 times mult if they are kept in your hand. I also nabbed myself another discard, leveled up 3-of-a-kind, and grabbed a steel king from a card pack. See, a steel king is very interesting, because the steel aspect gives times 1.5 mult, and the king aspect gives times 1.5 mult, resulting in a 2.25x total multiplier. As we start Ante 4, we reach our toughest challenge so far. This boss blind debuffs all face cards. Debuffed cards not only don't score points when played, but they also lose all of their effects, meaning my shiny new Steel King was absolutely useless. If I was going to win, I needed my normal deck to work its magic. Within the small blind, I was able to transform another king into a steel card, and because I chose the magic deck, I could turn one of my fools into another chariot card for more steel cards later. It was in this next shop that I stumbled upon the Mime. The Mime re-triggers every ability held in hand, This meant my Steel Kings, giving me times 1.5 times 1.5 mult, would now trigger again, giving me another times 1.5 and times 1.5 mult for a grand total of just over 5 times mult per king. However, once again, I had no open joker slots, so I had to sacrifice something, knowing the kings as well as the baron would be useless in 2 rounds. I decided to take the risk and sell my banana friend and hope that the holographic gluttonous joker could single-handedly win me the ante. Within the big blind, I made yet another steel king and popped my fool again for another chariot. Then I decided to get a steel 3 just for fun. I played my hand and began to see the true potential in the build. The shop after gave me a tarot that changed 3 cards to clubs, which was exactly what I needed to help me get past this boss blind. I then leveled up 3 of a kind once more, as well as my flush, which was hopefully going to be my get out of jail free card. We then jumped into the round and got dealt 2 aces off the bat. I then immediately made 3 cards clubs, shifted around my jokers to pop gluttonous 2 extra times, discarded for the fun of it, and clicked play hand. And it was not enough. In fact, we only scored 61% of the points we needed. I needed a miracle in these next cards, but I drew that one steel 3 I made earlier, and the mime was ready to roll. But with no discards left, I was forced to use a hand to discard instead, only scoring 500 points. My next draw gave me a chance. 3 pair. If you remember, I had been upgrading my 3 of a kind all run. All I needed was an 8 or a 6, but I had to draw it on this very last hand. And the 8 showed up right when I needed it most. We kept our steel 3, and with an upgraded 3 of a kind hand, I crossed my fingers and watched the math climb. And we beat it. Barely. With 11,000 total, we got just enough to survive Ante 4's terrible boss blind. Now, I could really start the build. Once my gluttonous joker had done its job, it was time for Swashbuckler to jump in, giving me plus 16 mult on every hand. Ante 5 also had a tricky boss blind. No discards. It wouldn't be easy, but it's doable. During the small blind, 3 of a kind queens combined with my kings and a double copied mime rocked me a solid 92,000 points, after which I created a steel 2. I then popped an emperor, giving me 2 random tarot cards, and rolled my favorite one, death. See, death lets you take 1 card and turn it into a copy of another, meaning I could take some random 2 and turn it into another steel king. During the big blind, I gave 2 of my jacks plus 4 mult, which I quickly realized I could have added to my red seal, which triggers twice. The first hand on the boss blind was just what I wanted to see. They gave me a steel king, which I quickly copied from the 4 of diamonds. They also gave me all 3 of my enhanced jacks. I also took the opportunity to use my strength tarot card to upgrade a queen to another king, and a 9 to a 10, because why not? Then I played my jacks, and with 2 steel kings and a regular king, I was expecting maybe 200,000 to 300,000 points, but I was shown a slightly different number. Oh my. The best part was, Swashbuckler is pretty much useless here. See, Baron and Mime, and by proxy Blueprint and Brainstorm all trigger during the scoring, as opposed to most jokers which trigger after. Meaning after I got 56,529 mult, Swashbuckler swooped in to save me by adding a whopping 16 more. And while on the lookout for a replacement joker, I nabbed another discard and opened a tarot pack and created yet another Steel 2. Using my newfound confidence, I stormed past Ante 6's small blind with a truly remarkable score of 103 million. Then quickly waltzed through the big blind with an even higher score. In our next shop, our friend Hanging Chad came back to say hi, and Swashbuckler was immediately sold. I then tried my luck at 2 Wheels of Fortune, which can add bonuses to random jokers, and 1 hit, giving me plus 50 chips on Hanging Chad. Once again, I beat the boss blind with another 3-of-a-kind monster, to which I was rewarded with another chariot card to make yet another Steel King. During the ante 7 big blind, I tested out what a simple high card would do. See, 3-of-a-kind is strong, but it means I'm leaving less possibility for cards on my bench. In order to truly start making this run crazy, I needed my high card to score much higher than it was. During our next few rounds, I tested Joker orders, played some high cards, got a few more steel cards from card packs, and hoped to find planet cards to upgrade my high card. And then on the ante 8 big blind, I had this hand. One round later, we had a slightly unfortunate boss blind. Every card would be debuffed until I sold a Joker. I didn't want to sell any of them, but if I didn't, I simply lost here. So Hanging Chad fell once again. And after another monster score, we won! Yay! That's all, everyone, we beat Balatro!
No, you must keep going. How big can big number get? Balatro players yearn for the E.
It wasn't until 2 rounds later in ante 9 where I found my first Pluto card and upgraded my high card for the first time all run. And at the start of ante 10, I was able to buy Telescope. Telescope makes my most played hand pop up in planet packs every time. I also had a magical Mega Tarot pack where I was able to death a 2 into a Steel King and then steal another king with Chariot. For the next few rounds, my entire goal was to play high card as much as I could so Telescope could get to work. Upon reaching ante 11, we would have our first meaningful Joker swap in a while. I was gifted the Invisible Joker out of a Buffoon pack. After 2 rounds, the Invisible Joker can be sold to create a copy of one of my current Jokers. So I dropped my random last Joker and played the next 2 rounds. I then sold the Invisible Joker and was granted a second Brainstorm. I now had 3 duplicative Jokers, all copying the mime. Let's do some math. Okay, so a Steel King gives 1.5 times 1.5. This is then duplicated by Blueprint for another 1.5 times 1.5. Then duplicated again by Brainstorm for another 1.5 times 1.5. Then again by Brainstorm for another 1.5 times 1.5, leading to a grand total of 25.6 times Molt for every Steel King in my hand. Knowing this information, I continued my reign of terror for a few more rounds until the ante 12 small blind. The scores I needed to beat started to get crazy right around here. I needed 300 million points just to beat a small blind. But that was no match, because after 11 full antes, we finally saw our first E. 5.23 E11. That's over 500 billion points by playing a high card. But this could be stretched further. Just 1 ante later on ante 13 small blind, with a requirement of 47 billion points, I hit this monster. .66 E14, which translates to 166 trillion points. But I had more in the tank. A quadrillion was possible. By now, I had played high cards so often that Pluto appeared in every planet pack, so I was finally upgrading it consistently. Though this run was not invincible, and I was reminded of this on Ante 13's boss blind. I didn't pull many kings or steel cards, so after 3 hands, I had only scored 5 out of the 94 billion I needed. And with 1 hand left until defeat, I clicked play hand and closed my eyes. And we beat it. 675 billion. Sounds like a lot, but that was cutting it a little too close for comfort. Ante 14 was where every hand mattered, because even the required score to move on from small blind had reached its first E. Every single hand was stressful. Would I draw enough steel kings to move on? On the Ante 14 boss blind, I had my biggest hand yet, almost maxing out this run's total potential. Almost 4 quadrillion points in 1 high card hand. That was my ceiling. The chances I draw more kings than that hand gave me would be near impossible, but there was hope. I had just found antimatter, a voucher that gives me another Joker slot. All I had to do now was find a multiplicative Joker and we could be set. And I found nothing at all. I took the egg to maybe get more money, but to my dismay, the small blind on Ante 15 could spell the end for this magical run. With a near impossible goal of 7.70 E16, I needed a hand that I had never seen before. The first hand with 5 steel kings and 3 normal steel cards resulted in only E14. The second hand, with the same setup, boosted me to E15. The third hand was the same. I was not drawing any steel kings, which were my only way out. And with only 1 measly glass 6 to try, I played my final hand and watched my dreams fade away. $3.34 quadrillion points out of an insane 77 quadrillion needed. What a run this was. The only thing truly missing from this build that would have taken me significantly farther was if my kings had red seals. Red seals allow the card to re-trigger one more time, so I would essentially be doubling the exponential growth of all of my kings, but unfortunately, we didn't find one. And now, after showing you this masterpiece, I have a few things to ask. 1. Try out this siege yourself and join my Discord to post your scores. Also, give me some tips to improve, as I only have about 50 hours in this game so far. And finally, let me know any other seeds or video ideas you want to see for more Balatro content. With all that being said, I hope y'all enjoyed, and I will see y'all next time.